Hey everybody, it's Kira and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about a book that I forgot to add to my favorites list of 2018. This will teach me to not create my list until after the year has finally ended, because I read this book after I had already filmed and put up my favorites video, and I done that when there was still like 2 weeks left of December, and that was a terrible idea. So now I know. Don't film your 2018 favorites or least favorites till after the year is over. So, the book I'm talking about that I finished in the last couple of weeks of 2018 that has made it to my favorites list is A Voice in the Wind by Francine Rivers. I read another book by Francine Rivers earlier this past year in the summer. I read Redeeming Love, and that was so good. This is completely different, but also so amazing, and it is definitely one of my favorites of 2018. So, this is a historical fiction taking place during ancient Rome and the Roman Empire. And we follow 4 main characters, which can be kind of confusing, especially when you start, because the book throws you into it. But by the end, you are in love with these people, and you just or you get very annoyed with them. Anyways, I'll talk about that in a minute. But the 4 characters you are following. So the first one is Eritreus, I don't know how to say his name. He is a Germanic warrior who gets captured by the Romans and is then forced to become a gladiator. Then you are following a girl named Hadassah, who's only 16 or 17 when the book begins, which is insane to think about, of all the things that happened to her. But she lives she is traveling to Jerusalem with her family when Jerusalem gets overtaken by the Romans. And she is a Jew, but she's not just a Jew though, she is a Christian, which is then plays a huge part in the book. And her entire family is killed, and she gets taken to be a slave. And eventually she becomes a slave to the family of the 2 other main characters. So you're following Marcus, who's the older son, and Julia, who's the younger daughter. And they are part of the family that owns Hadassah, and Julia is she's around Hadassah's age, and is just very impressionable and wants to rebel against her parents and kind of find who she is and find her own person. While Marcus is his father's very influential, and so he also wants to rebel kind of against what his father is doing, but finds different ways to do it than Julia does, and he also wants to protect his sister from whoever he deems as being a bad person. And he finds himself slowly but surely falling in love with Hadassah, which of course proves very difficult as he is the master and she's the slave. This is Christian fiction, and so there is a Christian viewpoint on everything talked about in this book. But it is so good. This book talks about a lot of things that are relevant to our culture today. It talks about abortion, it talks about women's rights and feminism, it talks about homosexuality, it talks about forward thinking versus conservative thinking, and there are just so many things that it talks about that I could see are so relevant to today's culture. And even though it does have a Christian perspective on it, I feel that it also deals with the opposite perspective, whatever you want to define as opposite, to Christian viewpoints in a very well-meaning way. It doesn't demean the actual idea that the other side is presenting, because Julia falls into a lot of the traps of the world, I guess, and so it usually is in conjunction with Julia that these things are talked about. So Hadassah becomes Julia's main servant basically, and serves Julia. And Julia is a very unlikable character, but you can understand where she's coming from in a lot of ways. And so she gets married off to multiple people, and then she decides to marry somebody, and there's a whole lot of things going on with Julia in this book. But I feel that it is very well represented in terms of being very respectful to the other side of the argument against so many different things that this book talks about. The writing is so beautiful too. It is a little bit, it's less flowery, but it is still very beautifully written, and I feel like the emotions really come through in this book. And the romance, guys, the romance is so amazing between Hadassah and Marcus. There definitely isn't any in the very beginning. I think it's a very slow burning thing, but then it happens, and it is so good. It's so good, because it's an aspect of forbidden romance, because like he is her master, so like slave and master, but also the fact that he is not a Christian, and Hadassah believes very strongly that she cannot marry somebody who's not a Christian, and so it just becomes this point of tension, and it's so good. There are so many good scenes with that in mind. And this book explores the Roman culture and gladiators and like all of those things really cool, in a really cool way. I know some of ancient Roman history, but I don't know a lot about it, and so I don't know exactly how accurate this is, but it was so cool to see all of those things portrayed, and it was just like so amazing. And the ending, this ends on a huge cliffhanger, and I'm so happy that this copy of the book includes chapter sampler from the next book, because there's 3 books in this series, which is called the Mark of the Lion series. So this book has the first chapter of the next book, which I'm so happy about, because it made me feel okay again, at least a little bit okay again. And it's just such a beautiful book, and I'm so happy that I read it. This is actually my friend Molly's copy, so thank you to Molly for letting me borrow your book, but I definitely will be getting my own copy shortly, because it is so amazing and definitely one of my favorite books of 2018. So that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Have you ever made a list and then realized that you made the list too soon? I'd love to chat with you down in the comments below, or just talk about like your favorites of 2018 as well, or if you want to talk about the book or anything, just go ahead and leave a comment. I would love that. So, thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to follow me on social media, all my links are in the description as always, and I will see you next time. Bye!